Welcome to a new video where I'll be giving my thoughts and opinions on all of the Five Nights at Freddy's games and placing them on a tier list. First of all, this is only based on my opinions of the games and which I prefer to play, the designs and story/lore in them. Secondly, this will only include what I believe to be the mainline games, excluding games like FNAF World, the Freddy in Space games, and Fanverse games. Lastly, well, actually, no, nothing else. So let's get started. The first entry of the series. The game meant to be Scott Cawthon's final attempt at being a game dev. Although never attempting to make a horror game before, Scott was able to create a simple but fascinating game. The darkness that coats the pizzeria, allowing you to see what you're meant to see while making you wonder what hides in the shadows. The original animatronic designs continue to be one of the most iconic designs throughout the franchise. Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy are just perfect, with my favorite Golden Freddy leaning into the ghostly and mysterious nature I love. And the gameplay combines stressful horror moments with fun resource management mechanics. The one aspect I really enjoyed about the first game is the paranormal aspect to it and how it feels like the entire building is haunted. One of the main things that's captured the attentions of many players and has continued to be talked about is the lore and story. It is presented in a simple but unique way through the phone calls, secret newspapers that appear, and secret characters like Golden Freddy. It makes you wonder what exactly happened at this place. So even after 10 years worth of games and the original game feeling like lightning in a bottle, everything just blended well together that it has to go at an easy S tier. Released only 3 months after the first game, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is everything a sequel should be. New characters, new environments, and twisting the simple gameplay formula of the first game into something unique. However, there are some things that hold it back from being perfect for me. To start off with some positive, the designs of the animatronics in FNAF 2 are some of the best in the series. The wizards are extremely terrifying, and although the toys aren't as scary looking, there is something appealing about the design to me. But although there are double the threats than the first game, most of them, apart from Foxy and the puppet, have the same mechanics, so having them constantly come into the office creates an annoying difficulty spike in the game. And the environment, it is very iconic. It doesn't capture the same feeling that the first game has. The office is too bright and the cameras are too dark to see anything. But when you use the flashlight, it gets too bright and loses the fear that the cameras had in the first game. But to end with a positive, the way the lore/story gets expanded from this game from the 8-bit minigames is perfect, and with the release of the FNAF 2 movie later this year, I have been feeling very nostalgic for this game since it's the first FNAF game that I've actually played. So with that, I place FNAF 2 at A tier. The original end of the series. Five Nights at Freddy's 3 has what I believe to be mixed reactions. Some say the series should have ended at 3 because it was the perfect conclusion, while others say it is one of the weakest games in the franchise. I genuinely love this game, and while it's not perfect, I will always have respect towards it. This game only consists of one main antagonist, Springtrap, with a story so iconic, being William Afton, the one who killed those kids in the 80s, and a killer design. It's no wonder why this version of Afton was chosen to join Dead by Daylight. And the phantoms, being these ghostly entities who can sometimes be annoying, are also nice additions to the game. However, the environment takes a step back from the past 2 installments, because something like a horror attraction should be the perfect location for the game, but everything is covered with an unappealing green lighting, and the cameras could have been great if the overuse of static wasn't used. But the reason I still love this game is the gameplay. It is something I never understood the confusion I've seen others have. You must use the audio lures to keep Springtrap away from your office while carefully avoiding contact with the phantoms, and using the restart menu to fix any problems that occur creates a very enjoyable gameplay loop, managing audio uses and keeping Springtrap at bay. For me, it is also balanced pretty well. It is able to be challenging, but one of the few FNAF games I could fully complete. Although I don't believe that the series needed to end after the third game, with a better atmosphere design and scarier jump scare animation, it could have been a perfect way to end the series. I think it's a very fun game to play, but I think I will have to place it at A tier. Due to the response from FNAF 3, people claiming that it wasn't as scary as the first two games, Scott knew that he had to make another game, one that would be sure to be his scariest. FNAF 4 is considered to be one of the scariest games in the franchise, and it's definitely one of the scariest ones for me. Playing in the perspective of a child alone in their bedroom at night, unable to lock the doors, with threats coming at you from every angle. The atmosphere feels more reminiscent of the first game. The gameplay also feels familiar to FNAF 1 as we once again face off only 4 main threats, with later nights adding extra challenges. The story is presented in 8-bit style minigames between each night, showing the days before
Was that the bite of 87?
well, the bite of 83. But although the gameplay is pretty good, the intended story that Scott was trying to tell us was extremely confusing, and it left many theorists wondering what the actual story of the game was. I personally believe Scott was trying to focus on making the game scarier. When it came to the story, he tried to find something from the previous game to build off of, the bite of 87, which is why 87 was hidden all over the teasers and the code. But then realizing that the bite happened during FNAF 2, he had to try to switch up the story, which led to the confusion about the game. But hey, that's just a theory. Anyways, I like the game, but it's not one that I tend to replay, so it goes in B tier. Okay, so after the confusing story slash ending of the series that was FNAF 4, and the underappreciated but also unwanted spin-off that was FNAF World, Sister Location was praised for bringing new ideas to the series, introducing a new gameplay formula, voice acting, and having one of the best stories from the game so far. For me, while I love what Sister Location brings to the franchise, I also want to replay the games I like, and with Sister Location, I get both bored and frustrated replaying the game at times. The funtime animatronics are so unique along with the environment. Feels like Scott leaning into his love of sci-fi. But in my opinion, it doesn't overdo it. It feels perfect for the game. Now, one of the decisions Scott made was to make the game more linear and story focused, and for a first playthrough, it's fun to see what will happen the next night. However, once you play through once or twice, it gets really repetitive. And while the first 4 games mostly have you in one spot the entire game, the mechanics and arcade style of the games make it fun to return to them, even if just to play for a few nights. But there is one aspect that may or may not change my opinion on the game, and that is the custom night that was added after launch. For although I beat the game, I never got to the custom night, since I lacked motivation to get through the Ennard boss fight, and already know everything from custom night. But for now though, it goes as C tier. However, I am planning on making videos replaying all of the FNAF games, and possibly 100%ing them, so maybe I'll like it better then. But C tier is where I'll leave it now. After the cliffhanger ending in Sister Location showing Springtrap escaping Fazbear Fright, there was complete silence on when the next FNAF game would come out. Then out of nowhere, Scott released a new game titled Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Simulator, which turned out to be Five Nights at Freddy's 6. Returning to a familiar formula of surviving in an office, this time a pizzeria tycoon was added so at night you buy items and attractions to increase your Faz rating and improve profit. And during the day, using the console in front of you, you must complete all your tasks and use your tools to look for threats that may be in the vent. But there aren't any threats unless you decide to salvage the animatronics that appear outside in the alleyway. Pizzeria Simulator has mixed opinions, some loving the story and tycoon aspect while others hating the office section and some confusion that it brings to the lore. I, however, love this game. Sure, the office gameplay could be better. I still find it frightening and fun to try to complete the task while keeping the animatronics away. I also like most of the character designs, and even though Scraptrap has the head of a peanut, he's my favorite character to have a peanut-shaped head. For the most part, I don't really care for the deeper parts of the lore, just the overall story and gameplay, so stuff like Midnight Motorist doesn't bother me. I think the Tycoon section is really fun, even though I like UCN. I would like to see what Scott could do for an endless Tycoon. One of my most wanted spin-offs is a big tycoon game where you start off with a diner and can build up to a mega pizzaplex. Also, it feels like Scott wanted to make a better version of what FNAF 3 was meant to be, bringing back all the characters from previous games, including many secret lore-related minigames, and ending the story with one final fire. It may be nostalgic, but Pizza Simulator is one of the games I love to replay. Because of that, I will play the S tier. The final FNAF game to be only made by Scott Cawthon. A customizable experience where you can choose which of 50 animatronics would attack you during the night, giving you the choice of choosing their AI levels, and each with unique mechanics, well, some similar to each other. This is a bit of a difficult game to rank because although there is a deeper story, the game is mostly a challenge game. You can play however you like, so if you want to go against certain animatronics or try against pre-made challenges, or even attempt the infamous 50-20 mode, all animatronics at the highest level you can. Although I don't ever intend to try 50-20 mode, I do like to try some of the pre-made challenges and see what my highest score can be. It does exactly what it needs to and does it perfectly. I don't have much else to say, so it's a B tier game. Nothing too special, but it's also not bad. Originally, it was meant to be a VR remake of the first game, but then it became the first Steelwool Studios game to continue with a new story, ending the Afton saga and discovering a new AI threat, one that seemed to imitate the actions of a certain yellow rabbit. I didn't get to play the game when it was released because I wanted to play it the way it was meant to be played, with a VR headset. I don't know if it's because I had already seen gameplay, but when I first played the game, although it was very cool seeing everything in VR, and it did feel very immersive, the one thing I could not agree with everyone else was that it was the scariest FNAF game. But there is one section that I'm not sure if it's some phobia of some kind, but I was able to 100% the entire games, beat all the minigames and challenges except for one. Not the corn maze or plush babies, although I did actually find them fun, but the darkroom level, Funtime Foxy. I don't know why, but I hadn't been able to go through it. To beat the game, I had to get my sister to play it, and the low-bit version to progress. Nothing in the entire series except for one other moment later on made me as scared as I was playing that level. Even other horror movie games, some in VR also, I never felt like I couldn't beat it, but for the most part the rest of the game was fun, but not as scary as expected. The story of the game is that the game Help Wanted is an actual game in the FNAF universe, made to make light of the past mysteries surrounding the missing children. But something was scanned into the code, a virus using an image of Afton to lure the players into a false sense of security to find a way out into the real world. Many people believe that Afton was alive again as the virus, but I personally believe Scott and Steele will wanted to make us question if Afton was still alive, then reveal the mimic later on. But because the mimic was too convincing as Afton, people genuinely believed Afton was somehow brought back to life through code. But whatever, I just wanted to give my thoughts on it. By the way, I give the game a B rank. It's good, but the remake levels feel like a lesser version of the originals, and once you play it once, most of the challenge is lost. While Steelwool worked on the VR title, Illumix worked on an AR game for the franchise, and although there are positives to the game, it is the only ever FNAF game to have its server shut down, making it unplayable. To begin, let's start off with some positives. Out of all of the FNAF games, Special Delivery has probably the best art and renders and the most cinematic trailer. It makes me wish Illumix could have made a non-AR game with a similar art direction. The gameplay can be fun at times, but because it's on a mobile phone, it limits what you can actually do. For the most part, you're just spinning around in a circle looking for invisible animatronics, some with slight differences. The game started out with a few characters to face off, the originals, BB, Baby, and Springtrap. But over time more were added like Toys and Golden Freddy. It could have been a fun game to get new animatronics, have tie-ins events during special moments for the franchise like the movie release and the 10th anniversary. However, we must bring up the negatives. Apart from the limited actions a phone allows you to do in the game, because it's on a phone, the game is riddled with microtransactions for fast coins, animatronics, and of course character skins. Most of the skins were really good, and while some were weirder than others, I had no issues with them. But for most of the time it felt that Illumix only worked on skins, that it took months for other animatronics to be added, and once they were, there wasn't much creativity with their mechanics. I enjoyed the game. I have many memories playing the game with my brother, trying to get the animatronic suits and spending one Halloween fighting Jacko Bonnie. But I have to be honest, and it's not a good game. I have to place it at the bottom, S tier, but it did have potential to be great. Some of the earlier FNAF games had mixed responses, but none had a bigger impact to the franchise than Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. Possibly the most hyped entry, being the first fully free roam FNAF game, and having the game take place in a massive mall, the Pixaplex. It was the most ambitious title for the series. But because of the ambition, it had promised too much and couldn't deliver. To begin with the positives, the design of the animatronics and the Pixaplex are incredible. The 80s aesthetic and environmental details were perfect. The gameplay allows the player to roam around anywhere in the Pixaplex with certain areas blocked off until reaching a high enough pass that allows entry. The player is given objectives to progress the story and continue the night, but because of the freedom to explore the massive location, it can be confusing to figure out where exactly to go next. The game allows you to save whenever you want, that is, if you get to a save station anywhere on the map. A mechanic that feels like it was meant to create fear and stress only creates stress and anger if you haven't saved for a while, and so you lose lots of progress to the AI of the animatronics. Before the game was released, I wondered how the animatronics were going to work. The place is massive, and I thought unless they give some supernatural explanation, the animatronics will need to teleport to cover the area to be a threat. When the game released, not only did the animatronics teleport to you if they spotted you with no in-game reason, several staff spots were added to cover the area to bring a threat to you. This made it so even if you try to sneak around like the game intended, if the animatronics spot you or is called to you from far away, near instantly are right behind you, so it's better to try to outrun them. I won't talk about the bugs much because not only did I play it on a laptop, I also did not get that many bugs when I first played it, but I did get some. Like FNAF 4, the story was really confusing, not because Scott did not know how to continue the story, but because since Steelwool was given the whole story and choosing to present it in a very mysterious way, it led to much confusion with the devs and the players. I like Security Breach, but due to many frustrating moments and unpolished gameplay, I will place it as C tier. By the way, I included Ruin with the base game. It was a better experience, but looking back, especially after Secret of the Mimic, the DLC is very linear, so it's very easy to replay without dying. It's good, but it has its flaws, so together it goes as C tier. 2023 was a great year for FNAF fans with a Ruin DLC, FNAF movie, and a new game, Help Wanted 2. Another VR game that included some of the games not represented in the first one, like more sister location, Pizza Sim, and Security Breach. Personally, I believe that Help Wanted 2 is very underrated. The gameplay focuses more on game/puzzle minigames rather than pure horror, and while that may be a flaw for most, I never found the first game too scary, so I enjoyed the more fun-focused minigames. My favorite being the food prep, even though I don't really have much experience in real life. They make it really fun serving customers' orders as fast as I can. But just like the first game, there is a level where on my first playthrough, I started panicking. The Endo warehouse. Trying to solve the puzzle while listening to the Endos walk closer to me was terrifying. The story/lore of the game is more simple as it mostly just adds pieces to get a better idea of Security Breach and fill some holes. Honestly, I can't think of much else to say. It's a great game that is fun to replay for me, so it goes at A tier. Into the pit, I must admit, I come anew. Okay, alright. The 10th anniversary of Five Nights at Freddy's brought many new surprises, with the final day, well, the day before, giving us a new game made by Mega Cat Studios. A pixel art game that adapts the first story of the Fazbear Frights books into the pit. The art style for the game is incredible. Pixel art takes time to perfect and Mega Cat Studios took their time to get everything looking great. We play as Oswald as we try to save our father from a mysterious rabbit creature that takes the place of our dad. The game is more story focused as we go back in time to find ways to save the children and each day getting closer to finding our father. Into the Pit is what I believe to be the best made FNAF game. A solid story, fun and engaging gameplay, and a unique art style. But one of my favorite things it does is the extra content they add to make it feel like a full game. An extra menu allowing you to play the minigames, hear the soundtrack, and even giving you the ability to customize your game, making it harder or easier. The only complaint I can give the game is I wish there was more. They give us a map of the town, but most of the game is in the pizzeria or at home. I wish that they could have expanded the world more, included more plot relevant characters to interact with, but still, it's a very good game. I'll place it at A tier. Only reason not getting S tier is although the story is good, it's kinda simple and not too memorable in my opinion. The latest game so far, also the earliest game in the timeline, Secret of the Mimic is Steelwool's second chance at making a free roam game, and I think they nailed it. This game has a lot of similarities to Into the Pit. Apart from being about characters introduced from the books, they both are stealth-focused, using lures and hiding spots to move around from one main threat. Also, like Security Breach, it gives you a location that you could go wherever as long as you upgrade your data diver. But unlike Security Breach, the place is much smaller and cramped, making it more suspenseful having to sneak around and dodge the Mimic. Speaking of the Mimic, before the game release, I wanted the Mimic to have randomized costumes, so that as you walk through the manor, you wouldn't know where they would pop out from. And that is how it was in the game. There were many sections that made you wonder in which suit the Mimic possessed. Although I had not caught up on all the Tales of the Pizzaplex books, I had read the ones about the Mimic and Edwin, so I was really curious on what would be adapted and how. Even though there were differences, they did a good job telling the story in a good way to understand the terror that Edwin went through, and even added more lore about William that showed how evil of a character he was. One complaint I have is the lack of extra after game stuff like Into the Pit. Secret of Mimic could have added an extra menu to hear the soundtrack, and even brought challenges like allowing the Mimic to hear your mic and etc. It might just be because of how new it is, but I genuinely believe it's one of the best FNAF games to release, so I will place it at S tier. Okay, so this did take me a bit to make. It was originally supposed to come out for the 11th anniversary, but because it's something new and I'm still trying to actually learn how to make videos, and also because this entire video was scripted, as I mean, I think it's obvious because of how I felt like I sounded more robotic. But this end part right now, it's not. Okay, so yeah, I just wanted to make a video kind of talking about all my like my ranking of the FNAF games. Just my opinion, nothing too serious. It's just meant to be fun. Um, and yeah, I hope you at least found some enjoyment. I will continue to be making gameplay videos, but I also I want to try something different. I also want to try something new, and also something for FNAF because although I don't want to be I don't want to be just a FNAF centered channel. Uh, because I want to like focus. I also want to try other stuff out, try new games out. I do like FNAF is like my favorite franchise. Which is why I wanted to start off the channel with playing Secret of the Mimic. um, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I'm planning on playing other games. I will continue to play Sonic Mania and Everdeep Aurora. But I'm also planning on playing games like The Walking Dead and Outlast and Alien. And if you guys have any recommendations, please give me any. You know, I like to try on anything. But yeah, apart from that, thank you for watching and have a good day.